Many of them have numbers, and you're told, remember the number, because when you come back from taking a shower, you should not take somebody else's clothing. After all, a tall person shouldn't take a short person's clothing. And so they undress. They keep a bar of soap. And they're told to go through a set of doors. Now they know through the set of doors is a bathhouse. Why? Because there's a big sign. And so they go through the door. And lo and behold, soap in hand, look up, there are shower heads. Hundreds of them. All according to schedule almost. And they're waiting for water. But water doesn't come out. Through a few trap doors in the ceiling, what comes down is this gravel-like thing, the white grayish pieces of stone-like thing, and as they descend, smoke comes out of it. It becomes a gas, and they can't breathe. And within minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes, 1,000 women assembled in this room are dead. Poisoned. My grandmother, my aunt, my 10-year-old cousin. Once there is no movement, no motion, they have these peepholes looking there, the Nazi guards. They see no more motion. The doors are opened up. The fans turned on, get rid of the gas. Jewish prisoners are told to go in, take the bodies, put them on an elevator, take them one flight up. And there are ovens. 16 in a row. The bodies are put into the ovens. Incinerated. Gone. All that's left of my grandfather, grandmother, and aunt are smoke and ashes. Of the 4,000 people that were in this train with me, 300 of us are alive. So what happens to us? Well, the first thing they tell us, when they march us off, they strip our clothing and say, you have to shave your head off. And they give us some new clothing. Striped pants, striped jacket, striped hat. Marched off, standing information. We're hungry, we're thirsty, we have to use the bathroom. No. Standing information for hours on end. And finally, they let us go into a building, a barracks. Fall asleep out of sheer exhaustion. Before we turn around, it's morning. Everybody up. Standing formation, being counted. And then comes the next piece of business. Namely, I no longer am a person. I no longer have a name. I now become a number, which is tattooed on my arm, making sure that I know that I'm not a person. I'm simply a number. I'm the property of the government to do as they please. If they decide to get rid of me, that's perfectly okay with them. Turns out they decide to set me to work. Now mind you, I'm 14 years old. I don't know much about work. I suddenly am working in a stable. My job is to take care of horses and use the horses to work. Namely, to plow the fields. The day begins at 3 in the morning. By 3:30, we're at the gate. By 4 o'clock, we're getting the horses. By 5 o'clock, the horses have been cleaned and fed. And we get our breakfast of black coffee. And I'm out in the field, behind the plow. At noon, we're allowed to stop for 20 minutes. We get some soup. Continue plowing the fields till it gets dark. It's almost dark. We take the horses back to the stable. We feed them, we clean them, we give them water, we take them out to pasture. We march back into the camp and we get a piece of bread. We go to sleep. Long days. Very little food. I'm always hungry, always tired. My friends, those were the good days. Our bad case, there's another piece added to it. When we got back from work, rather than going into our building, getting a piece of bread and going to sleep, we would rush to a special area where you could take a shower. You had to take a shower, actually. Which really wasn't so bad. It was a positive thing. The only problem was that after you got undressed, often, as you started walking into the shower, there'd be a man in uniform there, a doctor, who would look at you naked and determine if you should continue to live. If he decided that you looked too skinny, or you didn't walk properly, or you had boils, or maybe you were too pale, he wouldn't say a word. All he would do is take the number of your arm, write it on a piece of paper. Next morning, you're picked up by a truck, taken to the gas chamber. Remember, this happened haphazardly. You never knew. You never knew when you were coming home, what day, is there going to be one of these selections? And if there's going to be one, how are you going to make it? I did. My brother did. My brother and I were still alive in November and December of 1944. By January, the complexion of the war has changed altogether. By January of 1945, the American army was already in Germany. The Russian army was 50 miles from Auschwitz, from this place. We get up in the morning on the 18th of January. Go through the same process. You get up, you're at the gate, the guards are there, you begin to march. We're not marching to work. We're marching away from the Russian army. For 3 days and 3 nights we marched. And it's usually referred to as a death march. Why? Because if you didn't march, you died. If you slowed down, you were shot. The first day, a few people. The second day, more. And the third day, you could hardly go 50 feet and not have a body under your feet. My brother keeps encouraging me. He says, sooner or later we'll stop. We'll be probably put into a train or someplace we're going, and we'll be fed. But I'm hungry, and I'm weak, and he encourages me. He tells me, don't think of food. Oh, why don't we recite or recite some songs? I say, I don't have anything to recite. I don't know it by heart. He says, don't worry, I do. And so my brother and I are marching together, and he keeps reciting the Psalms, one word at a time. I repeat it. We hope and pray. And lo and behold, after the third day, into trains. Open cars in the middle of the winter. The train begins to move. Hour after hour, and you're freezing. Poland is cold in the winter time. We're huddling together, holding on to keep the warmth. Finally, the train stops. We have no idea where we are. The guards tell us to get out, begin to march us, and in front of us, we see a concentration camp. No different from the one we left, but it's further into Germany. Actually, this place was different from Auschwitz. Why? Because it did not have gas chambers. It was not a death camp. It was simply a concentration camp. Same barbed wire, same harassment, same electricity in the wires. But the camp was built in 1937 for 5,000 prisoners. You have 60,000 people there. From all these camps from Eastern Europe, now suddenly there's so many people, and there's no food. A boiled potato for a day, or even 2 days, is pretty good. A bowl of soup is literally a banquet. People began to die, starved to death. People began to hallucinate. They gave up. I am trying to stay alive. My brother is trying to stay alive. We're encouraging each other, and we're going along. It is now the end of February of 1945, and we're both together in Buchenwald, barely alive, but alive.